Chocolate. It's one of the most delicious foods in the world, enjoyed by millions of people in nearly every shape and form. But do you know how it is made and where it comes from? Did you know that Belize produces chocolate? The Toledo Cacao Growers Association ships about 100 tons of chocolate for export every year. Ajaw Chocolate and Crafts contributes to that chocolate exportation. Based in San Ignacio, Ajaw Chocolate partnered with 78-year-old Marcelo Medina for the use of his 20-acre farm to plant and grow cacao trees.
I started this farm 1970. Figure out from 1970 up to 2018 now. How many years is that?
That's decades.
But the idea is the plant trees, fruit trees that you plant. Some of them, they never bear long. Some of them maybe only 10, 15 years. But then the idea for continue having fruits all through the year, well, you plant. When you see the tree is old, you put to a next one in between. So when he dead, somebody else.
Medina's farm was perfect for house chocolate endeavors. The partnership was officially cemented about 7 years ago when the owner of the company, Adrian Choco, a Punta Gorda native, discovered that Medina's farm possesses the perfect type of soil for the planting and growing of cacao trees.
We did about 11 soil testing all across San Ignacio, and we found that this property would want to be one of the best areas to actually produce cacao trees.
How many trees do you produce, or how many trees are here?
At the moment, we only have about 100, 150 trees, but our mission, within about 5 years from now, 3 years from now, we should have about 500 trees. A tree can produce, if it's a good tree, per year, it can probably give us about 5 pounds of solid cacao bean, and this can be like about maybe 3 to 7% moisture in each bean. Here in San Ignacio, we only get maybe about 30 to 50 pounds of cacao bean from this farm, but most of ours, we support our own family cacao buying. We also support Toledo Cacao Growers Association because these are indigenous people that are striving to bring back cacao farming or to make an income in Belize.
The process of planting cacao seeds, nurturing the tree to a mature stage for harvest, can in itself be a lengthy process. Then there comes the actual making of chocolate, transforming the cacao seeds into chocolatey goodness.
But in Belize, we look at specific soil, alluvial soil. Plant this seed, it takes about 5-7 days, it shoots out. Practically in a good soil, 5-7 years later, it can produce 1,000 to about 2,000 flowers. Out of that, about 80 to an average of 200 cacao pods can be from the trunk to all over, known as the cauliflower method. Then you harvest from practically November to about June or off season, which is like right now. And then you go through a method of about, depending on the chocolatier you're working with, it can happen about 7 days, 9 or 14 days max of fermentation. That being then, looking at moisture, acidity, and flavonols, lead you to, of course, with moisture, then lead you to a better quality or flavor of chocolate, cacao bean. And then eventually that goes through washing method. You sun dry the bean 3 or 4 days, and eventually roasting happens. But at our end, it's exported at sun dried. But if you're looking to complete the process, you have to sun dry the bean, you have to shell, winnow, conch, refine, and temper. Package settling gives you an average time from the actual fruit to the finished product. Probably you're looking at about a month process.
Okay. Since 2015, Ajaw has produced more than 3 tons of chocolate annually. It is a small amount compared to other export products, but for Choco, it is worth it.
It's a risk at a 50-50, as like any potential business. But at our end, we're just proudly promoting Mayan cultures.
Do you have any days where you get, you know what, I'm gonna quit the chocolate business?
Definitely, because we didn't master it in high school. Doing physics and chemistry every day. All right, you have to do a lot of physics, the chemistry is a lot of work. There's many times that your bean can be ruined during fermentation. You can probably leave an unattended roasting. Bean can be burnt. Probably you lose the flavor, the flavonols of cacao bean. So there is a lot of advantage and disadvantage in chocolate making and the cacao farming on a whole.
The other half of Chaka's business includes the promotion of the kitchen Maya's chocolate making art. His wife Elida takes care of that part.
Our aim here is to promote traditional chocolate making, stone grinding of cacao beans on a stone. We turn it into a paste, but we serve as a beverage. Because that's the way cacao, as the ancient Mayan people had called it, it had originated. Now the world knows it as a chocolate bar, but it originated stone grinding, but served as a beverage. It's actually an art. It's not something that you learn in a book. It's something that you learn from your grandparents, your parents, they pass it down to you. You start as a kid, crushing the beans on the stone, give it a try. Eventually, you find yourself behind the stone, it becomes a part of your chores. So, growing up as a kid, on the stone you crush not only cacao beans, but also corn. Anciently, it was a stone that had been used as an all-purpose stone. Chili, spices, herb, anything you have to crush, one stone does it all. So the art, you learn it, lots of practice, but the idea is to crush the beans without adding water to it. The bean has a natural cocoa butter. As you're crushing, you're creating heat, you're creating friction. It releases that natural cocoa butter. It turns into a paste, no liquids added to it. And of course, in the end, you're getting 100% pure cacao, or for many people around the world, baking chocolate.
Some 6,000 tourists visit Ajaw Chocolate and Crafts every year, but the company is still struggling with wider marketing campaigns.
And also, one of the things that we don't have, and actually mechanically, because we do use machine and some of the machines broke down. We don't have mechanics in Belize. We don't have parts in Belize. We don't. It's very, very difficult to import machines to actually bring it to San Ignacio, and that's one. You also have to look at the type of foil. There's a specific foil it needs, and you don't find these in Belize online if you would have banking online. All right, so it's very, very difficult to bring those products to Belize.
Reporting for News 5, Hipolito Novelo.